This issue is a controversial issue, which is why we moved the meeting here, and we definitely have different sides that have different opinions. And there's a number of controversial issues out there that deserve a discussion with the community. But the question is, where is that forum for an open discussion? Certainly not here. I mean, at 5-foot forum staring at everybody's feet, this is not a communication. This is me talking to you with no response. I know sitting down with folks in the community and discussing challenging subjects is time-consuming and certainly not fun. But what's the alternative? I don't think anyone likes our controversial issues making the news and having the news here, being on lids of TikTok. I have people asking me what's going on in my school that aren't even close to this area, and it's quite frankly a little embarrassing. We live in a world where people are afraid to speak because every time they say something, hate-filled people troll them on the internet, and we know that's all true on both sides. Many, many people are afraid to talk at these meetings. Why wouldn't they be? I'm on film. Nobody wants to be on film, but many people have a voice and want to be heard. Dewitt is committed to inclusion, and that means seeking out and respecting very diverse opinions. So let's do that. Let's have a few board members with diverse opinions meet with a handful of parents on different sides of controversial issues. And let's talk about these issues before they blow up and become an embarrassment for a community. Let's make a forum for that where we respect other people's opinions. Something we don't see around here. I think we could do way better. It really sickens me to see what's going on in this world, and it doesn't have to be that way. We can sit down with very diverse people, have different opinions, have a discussion, and find a way. There is absolutely common ground here. Everyone wants their child to have the best learning experience possible and be free of bullying. I didn't appreciate being bullied when I was a kid. I didn't appreciate my kids being bullied. Someday I hope kids don't have to live with bullying. But there's many ways to work on that. We have a great opportunity here, but it requires action by the board to form some type of community advisory group, whatever you want to call it, and really engage with the community. We've done it before. We had one for COVID. We have the curriculum committee. We have forums where we can actually have a discussion instead of just have people come and talk. As always, I'm happy to help, and I don't like getting shouted down. I will finish up. No, I don't appreciate that. That is not appreciated. Thank you.
Caitlin Boone.
Hi there, I'm Caitlin Boone. I live in Dewitt. I have a fourth grader and a soon-to-be kindergartner. And I'm also an advocate for the LGBTQIA community. I urge the board to do more to foster an inclusive environment for all DPS students. I just wanted to give like a little example. My kid, when he was in first grade, I think, he decided that he didn't want to be called Tommy anymore. He wanted to be called Tom. And his first grade teacher let him, went around the classroom because it was remote. It was during COVID. Went around the classroom, had each of the students ask, what name do you want to be called? And they just talked about, respecting their peers. And I think that's, a really age-appropriate way to talk about the way that we talk to other kids and the way that we call people by the names that they want to be called or the pronouns that they want to be called by. And it was just, totally not an issue for my child when he was 6 years old. And I don't think that it is a very big deal to any children who are 6 years old at this time. I think it is probably a much bigger deal in their parents' minds than it is to those children. So I just think that kids want to be inclusive, they want to be respectful to each other, and they want to be nice friends to each other. I don't think that this is a big, scary issue. Thank you.
Sienna Rowe.
good evening. My name is Jana Rowan. I could tell you lots of statistics about pronoun use and why it matters. But I'll just tell you my story because I think it's what we need to hear. I was one of those parents who didn't allow my kid to use a different pronoun. I called a lot of your staff when they went to school here and said, don't you dare call my daughter he. Don't you dare use that name. That is not permitted. That is not okay. This is a fad. This is a phase. It's going to go away. This is ridiculous. You don't have my permission. Well, guess what happened to my kid? He pulled up in an ambulance for trying to take his life because I was not on board with that. So there's a time and a place where we have to say, it doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter if we think it's weird for my then daughter to shop in the boys department. It doesn't matter if we think it's weird that they're calling the kids they, them. It doesn't matter what we think. It matters to keep our kids alive at this point. 45% of transgender kids would try to take their life. And it took 4 hospital visits for my kid for me to get my head out of my you-know-where to realize what I was doing as a parent wasn't working. I used to think like the gentleman here in the front row. I used to
address
think
the chair.
that.
Don't address me.
Don't address me, address the chair.
No problem. I
Okay,
agreed
don't
with what
disrespect-
those
I didn't
statements were.
disrespect
I
you.
agreed with the fact that this is not okay. We have to be this way. It's always been this way. I used to think that way, so I get it. It's weird. It's different. It doesn't seem like it's the normal, and I'm using air quotes, thing to do. But it doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what we think. It was either I do what my kid needed to be done at the moment, which is use his name and his pronouns, or I was going to visit him in the grave.
And do it at your house. Don't
Could
do
you
it at school.
imagine? Could you imagine having to
shouldn't do it
visit your
anyway.
child in the grave because of a choice that you could have made? And people say, well, what if they change their mind? Who cares if they do? You love them through it. You use the he pronoun. The worst they're going to do is say, oh, never mind, that's not for me. And you go,
She's
oh,
not even
well,
paying attention.
your kids you're going to love your kids through regardless of what they do. I have been on both sides of that. And when you see your kid try to end their life with pills because they don't feel valid, because their parents are not supportive of what they're doing, that is a huge, huge, huge burden to put on yourself. We have got to learn to love our kids where they are. Little 5-year-old little girls can call themselves a girl, and that's okay, right? But if a little 5-year-old boy who says he's a girl says he's a girl, it's not okay. So why is it you can say they're not old enough to make that decision? If that's the case, then no 5-year-old kid should use any pronouns, period. It's all or none. Right? It's all or none. We have to be able to embrace our children where they are and in their lived experience, and we have to let our kids guide us with who they are. The worst that's going to happen is they're going to say no. They're going to go, never mind, I changed your mind. And then we go, okay, I love you anyway. I wish I would have done that when my kid was little, because I have so many awful memories of my kid because of things that I caused, the trauma that I caused my child, that I regret every single day. Thank you.
Annie Jones.